Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world and whatever time you're watching this. Maybe you're catching this live or you're catching this on the replays. Welcome once again to Coding Bootcamp 2023. Learn to program. Today, we're going to be creating a space computer again. I did this session a couple of years back and it was immensely popular. I don't know why. Perhaps, it hits a nerve with some of the developers, shall we say. I couldn't possibly comment. I'm not a geek or a nerd or anything like that. Oh no. Maybe I am a little bit. But anyway, this is really to just show off some of the capabilities of a product called Skia and also Rad Studio as well and what you can do with it. My name's Ian Parker and I am Embarcadero's developer advocate. You can catch me at ian.barker@embarcadero.com. That's my email. Or you can follow me on Twitter or X, depending on what we call it now. You know, it's changing. But @punctuation is my handle. And you can also follow me on about.me/Ian Barker, where you can find all my websites and links and things like that. Anyway, it's going to be a fun session. Let's engage. So what we're really talking about is our mission today is we're going to take a look at the incredibly powerful Skia graphics library. We're going to boldly go and use Skia for Delphi to harness the amazing power and versatility of this library. And yes, we're going to create our own Starship computer interface just because we can. We're not going to use the ST phrase because people like Paramount and people like that own these copyrights, and this is an educational video. We're not trying to rip them off or anything like that, despite me being a bit of a nerd. But it is really just to show you some fun things that you can do with the Skia library. Okay. And because some of you might have seen this video before, I'm going to add a little extra twist. This year, 2023, has been the advent of AI. It really is the tipping point where basically ChatGPT and OpenAI and all the other large-scale machine learning models and things like that have really taken things by storm. It seems like everything's in there. Microsoft invested a lot of money into OpenAI, and of course Bing has got the search engine now that you can talk to it, and lots of people are creating add-ons with things like Rad Studio and just about everything you can imagine, so that you can actually say to it now, hey, ChatGPT, create me an application that does such and such, and it will give you some code. Not always great, not always good code, but it can do it. And we thought, well, if I'm going to do a space computer, then perhaps it would be a good idea if I got some AI into it. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, I haven't actually done the bit where we can talk to the computer because I ran out of time. I've been super busy, but we are going to get it to speak to us. I'm going to show you how easy that is to do as well as leveraging the power of Rad Studio and Delphi. First thing you need to do, though, if you haven't already done it, is you need to go to embarcadero.com/products/Delphi/starter. It's a bit of a mouthful, but if you go to the embarcadero.com website and then click on products, you can actually get to that little trail there without having to remember the big long address. And what you're looking for is the starter or community edition. Now, in order to comply with the license, you need to read the details first. But if you're not, if you're doing this as an educational thing, which is really who we're aiming for during this week, we are doing this via learndelphi.org. Then you're probably going to fall within the community edition license. But read the details. What we don't want is you downloading the starter edition and then earning hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars when you could actually just pay us for the full version, which has got more capabilities anyway. The starter version, the full version, the professional version are very similar. The enterprise version, which is a paid version, is little bit more powerful, but you can do everything that you're going to see here with the starter version, so don't be deterred by that. If you don't comply with the license, if you are not within the license conditions, then don't use the starter edition. You can use the trial. There's a free trial there, full trial. Install the trial, try that out, and see whether it's the language for you. You'll see some of my other sessions this week making it absolutely clear why I think Rad Studio is the best option for creating programs that go onto everything from Windows, Mac OS, iOS, Linux, you name it, Android. It can do it. And I can't say it often enough. It's very simple. One programming language to learn, one code base, and you can target all those things. You don't need Xcode and Android Studio and 50,000 other different things. You just need Rad Studio, and you can create apps that will work with all of those. So we're really talking about Skier. So what is Skier? Well, Skier is not something we've written. It is actually a project that is used by a vast number of people. Google use it in Google Chrome. It's in the Chrome OS to make things happen there. Android Flutter, which is a programming language. Mozilla Firefox, the browser, and Firefox OS, which is not that common, but common enough. And lots of others. They all use that as the back end for the graphics. So it does 2D graphics. It's very, very powerful, very, very popular, and it's not going away. It's here to stay. I think too many people are using it for it to just fade into the distance now. And we're going to be using today a thing called Skier for Delphi. Well, what is Skier for Delphi? Well, it's a bunch of components and a really well-written library that talks to Skier. So it takes all the hard work of you interfacing with Skier out of it, and makes it work with Delphi, or Rad Studio, as we would call it, Rad Studio with Delphi. And it'll work on all the more modern versions of Delphi. I'm afraid if you're stuck using Delphi 7, you really should upgrade. It's 20 odd years old now, and it's time to move on. You're going to need XE6 or later. Like I say, if you haven't got that, then get the trial and try it out, or use the starter edition if you fall in the CE edition license terms. And it will work on Windows, it will work on Mac OS, iOS, Android, and Linux, absolutely everywhere. You can go to skierfordelphi.org. You can also download it from Get It in the ID itself, and it will integrate nicely, and once it integrates, all the facilities that you're going to see work quite seamlessly. It's very easy to use, to be honest. And also we've got some big news. Now I should point out, as a little disclaimer at the bottom says, what I'm about to say, these statements are based on a pre-release version of the software that's been written with specific permission by Embarcadero. No feature is committed until the product general availability release. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that at the moment we're hard at work creating the new release of Rad Studio with Delphi, and the coming version we're aiming to have a deep and out-of-the-box integration of Skier and Skier for Delphi in Rad Studio built in. It'll be absolutely everywhere we can fit it in. Now, don't take my word for it. I am the developer advocate, but I'm really only here to kind of regurgitate other people's information, and I make myself look cool by showing other people's code. So go to blogs.embarcadero.com and what's coming in Delphi and C++, C builder libraries, and there's some information there from the actual project managers themselves, the product managers, where they will tell you all the information that you need, along with the caveats to say, look, legally we can't say it's definitely going to happen because things move around, things break, but that's what we're aiming for. That is what we're trying to do, integrate Skier. And when I first did the Space Computer, it was a completely independent product, but it proved to be such a kind of amazing benefit to the product that it's actually going to be, the plan is to integrate it into the next version. And also, because I didn't want you to get bored, I thought I'd add some AI speech generation to the computer. And what that is we're going to use a service from Amazon called AWS Poly. And what AWS Poly is, it's a quite remarkable service which uses AI and machine learning to produce very lifelike text-to-speech generation. And I mean really quite astounding quality. It sounds normal, sounds natural. They've got a lot of different voices, so you can choose male and female voices and things like that. And some of them are better than others. There are a couple that sound a bit like they're a bit wooden, that kind of thing. But some of them you probably wouldn't necessarily guess that they were AI, unless you listen to enough of the text, because eventually the penny drops. We're very good at as humans, we're good at subconsciously spotting when something isn't quite real. But I thought, well, you know what? There is a new component out from Apercept. Richard Hatherall, very good friend of mine, and it allows you to integrate the AWS SDK into your Delphi applications. And I thought, well, let's see if we can do that, and let's try and use the Apercept integration to access Polly, this speech generation tool from Amazon. And let's make the space computer. Let's make the space computer talk. So that's what we're going to do. So if you want to know more about that SDK from AWS, then go to the URL that you see on the screen there, or just open up the Get It Packet Manager as I've shown there. Click on the filter and make sure you've got all selected. Choose sort by name, and then choose categories, all, and then just type in AWS. It's the only one at the moment, at the time I'm recording this, that comes up. So the AWS SDK. Once you install it, you won't actually see much happen, but I'm going to show you a little bit more about that in a second, how that works. Anyway, it is time for a demonstration. So what I have here, I'm going to try and turn my microphone round so that I talk into it, because I often do these demos and I end up sounding a bit quiet because I've got an unidirectional microphone. What we have here is Rad Studio. If you've not seen this before, Rad Studio allows you to create applications that will target multiple platforms. At the moment, this one is only a Windows platform. I've just done that for sake of convenience. But using this application, I could have targeted iOS and have my space computer working on an iPhone or an iPad or something like that, or I could have targeted an Android device. But I haven't done that. I'm just going to do this on Windows. Now, in here, as you can see, I have said some comments about what we're using. Okay, so I decided that we'd make the speech happen. Now, the way to do that, if you go into Tools and you go into Get It Packet Manager, and as I showed in the little graphic there, if you just type in AWS at the top, and up will come AWS SDK. In fact, if I just do that to reproduce it, and then just type AWS, just to prove me right, there it is. Click on the install button. Mine says install because I've done it. It'll install it. You won't actually see much happen, because the thing about the AWS is there are some components, but it's mainly a SDK. So what you do is you would include AWS dot something. So if you were doing the S3 components, then I think you can do .s3. In this case, I'm using the Poly components, and so I put Poly in there. Now I've made it so that by default this will turn off. So actually one of the features of Rad Studio 11 is that if you have some code that isn't reachable, and in this case this code won't be reachable now, by turning off that compiler define, that won't happen anymore. What that does is just prevents it trying to talk to the AWS speech interface. And actually, when I've gone through the code, you'll see everywhere all this code now is grayed out because I've disabled it. Again, that's a feature of the later version of the IDE. It's a very useful feature if you're working on multi-platform products, which I do quite a lot. I do a lot of weird web stuff with some web core products. It's already cool and deadly. Let's go to this and enable it again, because we do want speech, because this is my demo. And what you need to do in order for that to work in the first place, and let me just see if I can find the URL for that, because I did save some here. Let me see. Yeah, and what you will need to do is go to Amazon, and they have a AWS account. I'm not going to do this, but they've got a bunch of products in here, and you need to sign up for an AWS account and then create some SDKs. Now, I'm not going to go through that in this demo because I don't really have enough time to do it, but the Poly SDK needs you to set up a user and then set up a thing called a secret. Okay. Without that secret, it's not going to work because it's a bit like a kind of password, a username and password, but Amazon calls it something different. Now, I've got mine. What it does is it stores it in your user folder. So on Windows, that would be /users/ your name, your login name. So if your login name was Picard, for example, then it would be /users Picard, and then in there you create .aws. Again, the information from the actual SDK tells you how to do all that. But to include it, all I do is just do that. Now, let's see it running, shall we? So I'm just going to actually, I can't hit F9 because when I do that, I've discovered that my my video recording software pauses. But
the starboard missiles require plasma venting.
Now that voice that you just heard there was AWS Poly, okay? And I can make it talk again because I've got it set to only randomly talk when I want it to, rather than all the time.
There is an incoming message from a planet situated 3 light years from our current location.
Cool, huh?
There is an incoming message from a planet situated 3 light years from our current location.
And it does that kind of thing.
The starboard missiles require plasma venting.
I mean,
all ship-wide systems are operating within normal parameters.
It sounds like a computer, you know. Now, a couple of things.
There is an incoming message from a planet situated 3 light years from our current location.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna pause the voice, but actually, I did another thing hidden here. Is now the voice is male.
There is an incoming message from a planet situated. There is an incoming message from a planet situated 3 light years from our current location. All ship-wide systems are operating within normal parameters.
So that's one of the alternative voices as well. And now, if I do it again, it'll do a female voice.
The starboard missiles require plasma venting.
So I'm going to turn all that off for a second because we don't really need them to keep
There is
talking.
an incoming message from a planet situated 3 light. Ensign McKeith is not currently on board the ship. There is an incoming message from a planet situated 3 light years from our current location.
So this is going to go on for a little while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this for a while. So the way I've set this up is if you click on here, it will close, and the application finishes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and I'm going to turn off the speech part, okay? Just so that we can actually hear ourselves think and talk about what the rest of it does. But as you can see, the minute I turn off that define, everything stops appearing. And I'm going to run the application because I want to tell you a few things that it does. And we'll just silence that. Silence. So some cool things about this app. If you've not seen this app before, the Scare for Delphi guys liked it and they publicized it a bit as well. What is it doing? Well, these are just shapes and nothing clever about that. Those are part of the standard Delphi components. But what is clever is these things here. So these are custom fonts, and I got these from a site that I'll tell you about later, but I got them from fontlibrary.org, I think it was. And what that includes some fonts to do Klingon. And the weird thing was there were like, I don't know, 20 different versions of Klingon fonts. A rather cool kind of modern font to show some information there. Tabulated it out, a kind of Voyage to the Stars font, shall we say, to avoid using any trademarked words or anything like that. And rather nice insignia that looks very reminiscent of going boldly where no person has gone before. And then these graphics here. Now, what these graphics are Lottie animations. And the weird thing about Lottie animations are that they are basically JSON, which is the text format. And it describes how these graphics are, and you put these animations on and they animate automatically. This is all done by the Skier library, but the Skier for Delphi components are in the background making it happen. Very cool. You can see here that we've got that nice kind of radar effect going around. I hope that shows up on the on the video webinar replay type thing. But you can see that what it looks like is that radar scanner is coming from the planet, but actually that's a combination of animations, because one of the things this library supports is transparency and stuff like that, so it's kind of cool. And that little heartbeat logo and stuff like that, very interesting stuff, and not actually that difficult to do. Now let's just have a look at what code we've got. So let's just turn on some of the code again so that we can examine it, so you can see it. Right, so in the background I have got a file in my, and I actually do explain in here where you put it, which is here. So I've put a file with my special username and password from Amazon, which I'm very careful not to show on live streams, because believe me, it happens quite a lot more often than you would imagine. But it looks like this. So in that file is just some settings. Now, I don't think Aposet actually explains this particularly well in their Getting Started guide. Now, don't worry about that, because this week at some point, Aposet are doing, I think, 3 different videos, maybe 4. I forget how many Richard said he would do. It was an unwise number, put it that way. Anything more than 1 is unwise. Believe me, I'm doing 4, and I know exactly how much work that is. And there's a couple of other guys this week doing 3 or 4. But creating this file, I'm sure he'll demonstrate this. I haven't actually seen his video yet. But you put your secret ID in there. Once you've done that, all you need to do is include part of the AWS library, which Aposet provide. They've got a few. In fact, if I open this and then say show an Explorer, drag this over, there are actually quite a lot of different things that it supports. So I know he does like SNS, which is some messaging services, notification services and stuff like that. Transcription, which I could have got the actual Star Explorer computer, being careful, to listen to me, just like the Amazon devices do. And I can't even say the Amazon's robot's word, because I've got one in the corner, and the minute I say its name, it will start telling me things about my grocery list or something. You've got a delivery coming tomorrow. But that can do that. It can listen to all that transcription. So very, very clever stuff. And he, like I say, he has got some examples this week where he's going to show that. He's got all sorts of things like Cognito is one of the new libraries he's supporting. Very interesting Cognito. For identity and stuff like that. So it's quite interesting stuff. But anyway, I digress. Now, so actually, in terms of showing the text, let's close this. Go to my code. What happens in my example is not that complicated. So we've got a little timer happening. I've got some code so that when you click on the forms, things happen, and it moves around, and you can drag it, because I decided to do a version without a toolbar. I also that code looks a bit weird. I also have a timer that every so often it will trigger, and then what it will do is draw the text. So the Klingon font and all the rest of it, it loads it dynamically. Now this is one thing that Skier does, which actually was quite hard until Skier turned up. and that is that you would load a file from your fonts folder dynamically. Now, you can do it before. There were ways of loading fonts dynamically before, but with this skier library, it's very, very easy and quite a lot of fun to do. But I just draw some colours and things like that. Now, the other thing I do is I wait to see when the trigger happens. When a random number is 3, then it will play a sound. So you've got a 1 in 3 chance of it playing some random sound like a beep or a buzz or an alert or something like that. And every 1 in 4 chances, and it will do it up to 20 times, it will actually play some speech. Now, the reason I just put that speech count in there is with your Amazon account, you've got a free tariff of so many times a day and how many times an hour you can use it. I didn't want you to run this application, leave it running in the background, going, hey, it looks really cool, and then it eats through all your free entitlement for a month, and then I get hate mail and things like that saying you wrote an app that used all my Amazon free account, or even worse, you're on the paid tier and it cost you money. But that's just what that does. And so once that that 1 in 4 chance has been triggered, then all it does is it triggers this little piece of code here. Now, I actually effectively ripped this off of Apicep's example, stole it, I rewrote it a little bit because I did some other things as well. But what it does is it goes off and it calls the AWS text-to-speech engine with some text that I passed over. So I just pass it some text to say, Ensign McKeith is not on the ship or something like that, which was my little joke for Jim McKeith, who is actually around, by the way. And then it transcodes it into its own voice using AI, so it sounds natural, and you heard it's very realistic. It's pretty cool. And then what it does is actually creates a file. Now, there are ways of doing this. This is how the example does it. It saves it to a temporary file and then plays it that way. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I would actually create a stream and then stream it. It also uses the media player. I would probably do that in a different way as well, but there's nothing wrong with this. It works. But just to make sure, at the end of my app, once it's been running, it just goes through, and for every temporary file that it finds of that particular pattern in the place where it's been storing it, it goes through and cleans them up. So it deletes them, so you don't end up with lots of speech files hanging around. But very cool. And if I run the demo again, I don't think I deleted anything, but I'm just going to move that over where you can see it. But there's the timer ticking away. It's doing that speech, and you saw that really there isn't any code for the animations. That's all built in. But very shortly there should be a 1 in 4 chance of speech.
There is an incoming message from a planet situated 3 light years from our current location.
There you go. Very cool. Now, if we
all
just go...
All shipwide systems are operating within normal parameters.
Thank you very much, Polly. And when we look at the
starboard missiles require plasma venting.
I can see this is going to be interrupted every so often. But if you saw, if we set a particular flag, then literally to change the voice from the female voice to the male voice, I just say I want to use this voice instead, and it's all documented in the API. But if I go back into the app again and say, if I click on here, which is where I did it, now when it talks, it will use a male voice. If I'll just force it.
Ensign McKeith is not currently on board the ship.
And that
Ensign McKeith is not currently on board the ship.
Yes, thank you, computer. So that just makes it use the Joey voice. So pretty cool. Not difficult to do. As I've said to people before, I am quite lazy and I try not to work too hard. So it's an example of how the thing works. Now, what I want to do is show you something else. Okay, I'm just gonna find out where it is. Oh yes, it's this one. Hang on 1 second. Right, so what we've got is this demo. So just to give you some idea of what Delphi can do. So this is the official Skier for Delphi demo. And what it does is shows you the different types of animation control that you can have out of the box. This is all Lottie animations, and I'm going to show you where you can get those in a moment. And there are different types of things, like there's an animated check mark, and you can see you could use that on a button or something like that. And loading screens, you know, if you've got a long process and you want to have a loading screen come up, well, look at all these kind of things that you can do. And these are just animations that it's doing. And if you use Telegram, well, there's a Telegram sticker, because a Telegram sticker is actually only a form of Lottie animation. It's just got a different extension on it. But it can actually display those, and so your app can display them. So you just go and look for the Telegram stickers and you can display them. And I like this one. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Yeah, whatever. It also allows you to do animated GIFs. Now, what is the main benefit of Skier? It's not just that it adds all these capabilities for these types of files that you could not do before. And this is a WebP, by the way, which actually most apps can't still open, even though it's been around for a while. The main advantage of Skier for Delphi is the absolute blinding speed. It is way faster than just using FireMonkey or FMX on its own. And when you add this library, it adds a massive speed boost. But not only the speed, but the quality of the rendering as well is much better. We did some tests, and it was significant enough that it convinced us. And as I said before, relying on the statement that, you know, nothing is set in gold until the general availability release comes up, we are pretty certain that this is going to make it into the next version of Rad Studio, because it was just such an obvious thing to do. So, you know, SVGs and stuff like that. And of course, the thing about an SVG is it is scalable, and so no matter how big or how small the SVG is, the quality remains the same. And there's loads and loads of things. I mean, if we go to looking at transforms, because we're probably getting a little bit short time. Oh, no, we don't have good time. This kind of thing, where you can do this in your app, transform things. Now, imagine you've got a paint app or something like that that you're trying to write, and you want to stretch a corner around or do something weird like that. Yeah, look at that. I mean, that is pretty awesome. And this is probably my favorite demonstration. So this is, again, all it's doing is just doing a transform on a graphic. And so we can do this kind of thing. Excuse me. We can do this kind of thing. We can do that kind of thing, and we can do that kind of thing. Depth, absolutely stunning. And look how I mean, I can't tell on the streaming whether you'll get the same quality, but I can tell you when I'm looking at this live on my machine. My machine is a relatively high-end machine. It's completely smooth. There is no juddering or anything like that. It's absolutely smooth. As I move that progress bar around, that slider around, it just responds immediately, and there's no flickering or anything like that. Quite incredible. It's got all sorts of other things, like you can create a PDF automatically, and in fact that's displayed on my browser, but I've pulled that over here. There's a PDF from an image, instant, bang, up it comes with a PDF. Same with XPS. I'm not going to bother with that. What else? Delphi drawing paths and effects, images, particles is quite fun, and it doesn't really show up very well, but you see that? I mean, come on, isn't that crazy? Absolutely crazy. And these are all quite simple effects that it does. It's just different effects. It's just mandrill. Yeah, weird. Absolutely weird. But I've been a big fan of the Skier for Delphi guys for a long time, and and I make no secret of that. And their stuff is absolutely mind-blowing. The other one thing I want to show you, let me just do that before we go back to the slides, is this one. So I need to just open this carefully in just 1 second, because I have two versions of this and I broke one of them. There we go. Right, so go into here, so open project, and choose this, and if I've done it right, okay, so looks like a blank form, and not an awful lot of code, less than 200 lines of code. Okay, but if I now run this, and again I can't use the shortcut keys to run this because it turns off my my poor by the way, if you're sensitive for flashing, look away now. I probably should say that earlier, shouldn't I? But I'm horrible at this game. I'm really awful, and plus I'm recording this quite late at night. I've had a long day, so oh no. As you can see, I was not a pinball wizard. But I think you know what game this is. I don't want to use the popular name, but someone said before it's a wall destroying game when you're breaking the wall. You know what I mean. Yeah, you know what the name of the game is. But this is called a shader. But just look at, can you see the little bat? See how that's distorting when the ball hits it? Okay. There's no code for that. I just did something great there. There's no code to make that happen, and neither the score or anything like that. Absolutely zero code to make that part happen. And the Bricks game was created in another thing called Shader Toy, and this is called a shader, which is another thing that Skier does very, very well. And so the only bits of code that you've got in there is for when I'm pressing my keys so that it can move parts of that shader around. That does my head in. I mean, I'm absolutely gobsmacked by how incredibly good this is. It's just unbelievable. Those of you that are long-time Delphi programmers have probably seen Jim McKeith do a demo as well, where he had a C behind him, which was quite amazing as well, where he had like the it looked like realistic water behind him. It looked like it was on I don't know, Titanic or something like that. It's quite funny, but there you go. Anyway, so quite incredible. It was quite incredible. So, some more information about this. So, the Skier for Delphi website is there, skier4delphi.org, and the Skier website, which is Google's own website, or actually the Skier project. I shouldn't say Google because it's not them anymore. I think it's just, it's got a life of its own. But go to the skier.org website and see it there. If you want to download my space computer with the voice, because by the time you watch this video I will have uploaded it, then go to github.com/checkdigits/space computer, which is where that source code is, or go to skier4delphi.org site, and I think they're linked to it there in their examples. It's very nice and do that. Now, the animations that I showed you with all those kind of cool planetoids and things like that is a thing called Lottie files. And I think I can probably pull up my... so there's a website somewhere. Is that it? Yes, here we go. So, Lottie files. I might not have those available. No, I don't. Okay, alright, well, okay, let's, you can go to lottiefiles.com anyway, and, pull this over so you can see what's available. So, if you choose an animation called, I don't know, Cake or something like that, because it really is as crazy as that, there will be a bunch of animations for cakes, and some of them are paid for on this site. They got a little bit more picky about making money. People wised up to the fact they can actually make some cash out of this. But if you click free, like this, and you'll get enough cakes to last you a lifetime of graphics and things like that. And they're all animations, and you can convert them. There's a tool that allows you to download it as an animated GIF somewhere. Let me pick one. And let's pick this one. So what you can do, you click on the download button, and then you can create an animated GIF from it. If you choose a little small one, then it will do 150 by 150 for free. But if you want it bigger, then they ask you to pay. I forget how much it is. It's like $15 a month or something like that. I guess if you're designing apps, then you're going to use these lot, then it's definitely worth it. Of course, you should support them as well. Because people shouldn't work for free, in my opinion. I think that they should get some recompense from it. But anyway, that's Lottie Animations. Other things that you might want to look at is the Appercept components, which, as I said, we're going to have a lot of explanation this week from Richard Hatherall, who's the CEO, I think, of might be CTO of Appercept. Go to there and read about the components. He's got some that are being released within Rad Studio in the Get It library, and some that are paid for as well, I think. I can't remember the exact details. I apologise, Richard. I should know. I've been in meetings with him and he's told me all about it. And Amazon Polly is the thing that I use to generate the voice. And if you go to that very long URL there, it'll tell you all about it. Anyway, that is me. I am Ian Barker. I'm Embarcadero's developer advocate. You can email me, and please do, at ian.barker@embarcadero.com. Follow me on Twitter /X at punctuation. And if you want to go to my websites and learn more about me and the weird things that I do, program every day, all that kind of stuff, about.me/Ian Barker. I hope you learned something about skier and see why I'm always excited about it. Jim McKeith, who was my predecessor in the role of developer advocate, also absolutely loves it and still supports it and does things in the background and behind the scenes with them as well. I know the Skier Fidelity guys, they are absolutely incredible. They're some of the best programmers I've ever had the pleasure of talking to. Great guys, and very, very enthusiastic, and worked super hard on that project as well. Okay, well, thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of the Coding Bootcamp. There you go. Well, isn't it great that we have a little technical hitch at the end of the stream? It's always good. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. The Star Trek computer one is always very popular because, most programmers are nerds of some description, and you can't get much more nerdy than space computers and, Star Trek and Star Wars and all the other things as well. And obviously the wall game where you saw the blip going out and flashing and all the rest of it. Absolutely brilliant. I just love this. Skier Fidelity makes me look so good, and I'm not. Just writing some fairly simple code and pick together some free and open source fonts and things like that. We are reaching the end of day one. It's been a marathon for myself and my colleagues. If you have not registered already, there you go. Please scan that barcode, and producer Martha, if I'm pointing at the wrong one, let me know. But if you have not registered, scan this barcode. A couple of things will happen, and somebody scanned it. First of all, you will actually get taken to the registration page, and you register, and it's simple. It won't cost you anything, and we won't spam you lots, honestly. But the second thing is you'll get the replays automatically sent to you, because that's one of the questions I was asked on the chat, which was someone said, is the video available after the live? Yes, every single video you see this week, and there's a whole week of videos every single day. We're going from 10 a.m. in the morning till 4 p.m. now, local time, which is what it is. and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sessions a day minimum. If you register and scan that way, you will get those replays automatically. Also, someone else said that the tiny URL that I've got that I put on my thing, they're saying, Ian, and it was Helga, I think. Yeah, Helga Larson, saying, they're not working. Actually, I literally ran out of time to do the blog post. The blog post will be up. And so if you watch this replay and you're watching it now, sometimes we don't have the Q&A in the replay. But anyway, those links will be live. I've got the post ready. I just couldn't do them. There were not enough hours in the day. Long story about cars blowing up and various other problems as well. So, and yet I still managed to get the videos up. So let's talk about a couple of questions that came up specifically about that video. I now know why it's called Amazon Polly. Yes, it's a play on words because Polly is a parrot, a common name for a parrot, but also it's polyglot. It literally means it speaks every language, and of course, generation it does. Now, one small thing on that video, you heard the voice echoes in the video. It does not echo normally. That is just a little quirk of what I was doing with the recording and a few things like that. But actually, generally speaking, the voice just sounds like a normal voice. There are a lot of voices. I think there's at least 30 different voices, and some of them are AI related, and some are what's known as standard voices. So they're phonetically joined together to make speech, which isn't quite as realistic. If you've got a GPS or a satellite navigation, you'll probably have that choice as well on your GPS, where you can choose natural voices and automatically generated ones. But Amazon Polly, great, absolutely brilliant. People scanning the code. Hang on, there you go. Scan the code there. See, I can point to it. I'm not completely useless, but scan that code. People are scanning it. That's good. So you'll get the registration. All of the source code that you saw for the Star Trek computer, the space computer, I shouldn't say the ST word, which is a registered trademark of Paramount Studios. But all of the space computer source code is available on the links that I showed. But if you register for the coding bootcamp, if you go to that URL and register with the QR code there, you'll get the links for absolutely everything. And every one that I do, every session that I do, I always do a blog post to follow up on the main Embarcadero blog. And it also includes all the slides that you see there as images, and all the links will be clickable, so you don't have to go and type all those links in. You can click on the link and it'll take you directly to the web page that I've shown. I know this session's always popular. We get lots of comments on it. Oh, my camera's gone a bit blurry for a second there. Oh, they're digging up my road outside, and I'm amazed my internet survived, but there you go. Next one is TRNOD, who I'm still not going to know how to say your name, but making sure it doesn't spell something rude backwards. They're saying the tab that they have open next to this one is literally this one, supercharger interface with Skier for Delphi. And yes, that is actually another blog post about it. We've done a few about it. Someone asked, is Amazon, is the Appercept components that I use to talk to Amazon to generate that voice and be able to translate commands as well, like Alexa does. I got away with saying it without it triggering. Is it available in the Pro version? Yes, it is. And I believe it also works in the trial version. I can't guarantee that because I've not tried it, because technicalities, I can't actually install the trial or the CE version. But I believe that it works in all of those. You can go to the site, but the components I think are available via Get It, and it just depends on what types of subscription you've got. So check that. I apologize if I'm wrong and you can't get to it, but someone did actually say that they were able to install those components. Another person said, there was a line going up and down on the user interface on the radar thing, and they said, and it was not again, Oh, is that because the video, the animation is not horizontal syncing or vertical syncing properly? Actually, that's not correct. It did actually scan correctly, and that's the video. The video has that line in, and so it's so accurate that you can actually see that very thin line going upwards and down. It's part of the video. It's not actually a fluke or a fault in the animation. That is actually the animation's got that built in. So there you go. And you saw the radar sweep and all the rest of it. On my machine, when you see things on streaming, you do not get the same video quality from our video demos where we've got an app that's showing videos because of the way that YouTube works. YouTube uses a compression technology that will skip out frames depending on your bandwidth. And because of that, sometimes the animations that I show may look like they're clunky and, you know, moving and jittering around and things like that. On live, and you can try this, download the source code and prove me wrong, but live on the actual app itself, when I see them, they are not in the slightest bit jaggedy or juttery or jittery or whatever term you want to use. They are smooth as butter. They're very, very performant. That's the word I'm looking for. So yeah, the URLs for the blogs, they will be up soon. I apologize, they're not done yet. I just don't have enough hours in the day. If you knew what time I went to sleep last night, you would be horrified. And I was awake again this morning at 6 a.m. I told you I'd get up every day and write code. I'm not joking. I do it every day. Still love the job. So I think that's it. How are we doing for time? Well, you know what? We've actually got to the point where we have reached all the time.